Ripped off the headlines presentation, we will be discussing data phishing. More specifically, the Microsoft data phishing attack that occurred earlier this year. This presentation is brought to you by Group 2, comprised of Britnie Alexis and Ariel Joseph. What exactly is data phishing? Data phishing is a cybercrime, more specifically, a social engineering attack, where a target is contacted by email, text, or phone by someone posing as a member of a legitimate business or organization in an attempt to get people to reveal sensitive information, like their social security numbers, banking information, log information, or any other personal identifiable information. Some common tropes and themes of phishing attacks are offers that often seem too good to be true, adding a sense of urgency to act fast, malicious hyperlinks or redirection links, malicious downloadable attachments, or it coming from an unusual or unrecognizable user or sender. The Microsoft phishing attack. Earlier this year, in August, there was a large scale phishing campaign on Microsoft users in an attempt to steal user login information. Attackers would impersonate Microsoft in their emails, claiming that there has been some security issue and that they must click some link to review or solve the issue, when in reality, the users were being redirected to malicious websites and tricked into giving out personal information. As a result of the widespread phishing campaign, Microsoft went public about it in their security blog and incentivized that users use protective measures to protect themselves. This is a visual example or rundown of how the Microsoft phishing scams work. Above is a attack chain for the open redirect phishing campaign. So this is pretty much how it went. First, the attackers sent phishing emails impersonating Microsoft using an email similar to that of the actual companies. Users were then enticed or persuaded to click redirect links. This was done by using the common methods we mentioned before, adding a sense of urgency, and or making offers that seem too good to be true. For the case of the phishing attacks, they made it seem like there was a security issue and you had to log in to fix the issue. In order to seem more legitimate, once the users clicked the redirect links, users were met with a reCAPTCHA verification. This made the link seem a little more legitimate as people tend to associate reCAPTCHA as a form of cybersecurity. Scammers will then set up an error using reCAPTCHA and prompt the user to enter their log information. And that's how many people were scammed into giving away their Microsoft log information, making their account and information severely compromised. How exactly were these emails sent? Well, most computer systems use SMTP. SMTP stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. SMTP is an application layer protocol that uses TCP, which stands for Transmission Control Protocol, in order to transfer electronic mail from the sender's mail server to the recipients. Although SMTP is a good tool for sending emails, it is a bit archaic when it comes to safety or security. The standard SMTP protocol can be quite vulnerable to attacks as it doesn't have many major built in protective barriers to protect users from potential attacks. If attackers were able to gain access to SMTP servers, they can send emails impersonating you, your business, or company and send malicious emails while posing as you, which is why many companies pair SMTP with anti fraud protection or implement an email validation system to prevent phishing, impersonation, or spoofing. As we mentioned in the previous slide, the attackers used a reCAPTCHA verification page to make their attack seem more legitimate. The reCAPTCHA page paired with the phishing page staged to mimic that of the official SSO, which is the single sign on page for Microsoft, made it easier to trick users into entering their log information. As you can see in the images, that's the reCAPTCHA example they used, the I'm not a robot. And then below is the fake phishing page that they use that literally mimics when copied the Microsoft single sign on prompts. It made it seem like there was an error with the reCAPTCHA, and so you have to enter your password and then that won't work as well. So you'd have to click the reset it now link, which would redirect you into another phishing page, which would prompt you to enter your other information in order to hypothetically reset your password, where that's not really truly the case. You just be entering your information and they'd be taking it. Okay, so identifying the Microsoft phishing emails. Once Microsoft caught wind of the phishing email scams, they released a series of information regarding how to identify them and what the companies use to protect users from the phishing scams. They gave a few pointers on how to identify the phishing emails, primarily pointing out the domains they used. These hackers often use free domains that end up in .co.jp for phishing emails, but there were times where compromised legitimate domains of companies were being used as well. They were able to get access to their domain name and log information, which is why it was so difficult for people to identify that it was a phishing scam, and also why so many people fell for the Microsoft phishing scam. um, but in order to kind of fight against that, they implemented stronger security measures in their Microsoft Defender service to fight against the phishing emails. Microsoft Defenders for Office 365 is the name of a cloud based email filtering service. This service works to protect users from various forms of cybersecurity threats like malware, viruses, phishing, spoofing, etc., to protect its users. This was done through the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies that are then able to detect potential cybersecurity threats and find trends to prevent attacks from coming through in the first place. And these are our thought provoking questions. How have phishing attacks evolved over the last few decades, specifically from the 1990s to now? As phishing attacks became more sophisticated and harder to detect, what can organizations do to avoid these types of attacks? In 2018, Verizon's Data Breach Digest found that 90% of all data breaches involved phishing. Why are individuals and organizations so susceptible to phishing attacks? Thank you again for listening to our presentation. Please have a nice day.